Hello, and welcome to SALTO Digital Spotlight. My name is Juha Toibol Kiviniemi, and as always, I will be your host today. First, a quick intro of what on earth SALTO Digital Spotlight is. For you who are new here, this is new information. For others, this is a repeat of what you already know. So, what we do here is we do these webinar series that are aimed for national agencies, for Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps programs. And mostly our content is aimed for the digital contact points, our very special people that work with us within the agencies, but also all other staff within those agencies that help program beneficiaries make better projects in connection to the digital transformation priority. We also aim this content for all interested stakeholders. So if you are watching this on YouTube after the fact, welcome. You are exactly in the right place. And we hope that this is interesting for you as well. Our goal here is to give new points on how technology can be applied in the fields of education, whether it's school education or higher education, adult education, or not non-formal side of things, so the youth sector. And especially, as I mentioned, in the context of Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps programs. We are talking here about how technology affects all our lives and all our societies, and not so much about technology itself. So, if we, for example, would be talking about virtual reality, this is not the place to get the tips on the best headsets or the certain pieces of technology that you might use, but rather what are the implications on education, how we live our lives and interact with our own social circles, for example. Now, finally, if you do find this content that we share here relevant, do share the recordings with your colleagues or with anyone else you might think that this would be interesting for. And if you have a topic in mind that we should cover, or even a speaker that you would like to appear in this webinar series, do let us know at the email that is on your screen. So today I have the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Kari Kivinen here to talk with us, and I will let him present himself as well as the topic that he will be talking about. So, Kari, you are welcome. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Juha. It's a pleasure to be with you and share some insights about digital skills and what is happening in the field of digital education at this moment in European Union. And I will open my presentation. And my topic today is how does the rapidly changing digital landscape affect education, and what are we doing at this moment to update digital and AI literacy and to tackle disinformation. And I will start by, and I'm representing a Finnish fact-checking organization, NGO Faktabari, which is part of the Nordic hub of European Digital Media Observatory. So, the digital competence it has been defined already in 2018 in the key competencies for lifelong learning, and it has remained more or less the same in spite of a lot of changes. So it involves the confident, critical, and responsible use of an engagement with digital technologies for learning, work, and participation in society. So it includes different kind of literacies, and the newest, which is not here yet, is the AI literacy. The European Union has launched a digital education action plan, DEAP, to tackle these issues, and there have been 13 different actions, plus very recently the digital hub. And this was launched in 2021, but at this very moment, most of the actions are being revised. And today I'm touching action 6, action 7, and action 8 in my presentation. I happen to be involved in these expert groups, and that's why I'm giving some kind of information on what's going on. So when we are looking the Eurostat statistics on people having basic digital skills, we can see that there is quite a big difference between member states. And in the top, there is Netherlands, Finland, Ireland, Denmark. And let's say in the other end, we have Poland, Bulgaria, and Romania. And we hope that the goal is that 80% of the population of EU will have basic digital skills by 2030. So what are these digital skills? They are defined in the digital competence framework for citizens. At this moment, we have the DIGCOM 2.2, which is the latest version, but we have the DIGCOM 3.0 in process, which will be published probably before the end of this year. Digital literacy competencies are considered as a basic civic skills, and also in the new skills approach, the Union of Skills, digital skills are having an important role. When we are looking more closely what DIGCOM 2.2 is telling about what kind of skills there are inside of the digital skills, actually there is a big variation of different types of skills. But today we are kind of concentrating on how to tackle disinformation and how to find the information we are looking for. That's the kind of goal of this session. And the DIGCOMP is dividing the competencies in knowledge, skills, and attitudes. And for example, in information and data literacy, citizens should be aware that online environments contain all kinds of information, including mis and disinformation. And then there is this competence that people understand the difference between disinformation and misinformation. The skills, here are a few examples. Citizens know how to analyze and critically evaluate search results and social media activity streams. And in the last, attitudes, willingness to fact check the pieces of information in the social media. So when we are looking other statistic on how people are kind of finding in the social media or in the online environments doubtful information, we notice that the same countries, Finland and Netherlands, the people find the most unreliable information because probably they are more aware of these things. It's quite interesting. There is an action concerning how to tackle the disinformation in EU, and in 22 guidelines for teachers and educators on tackling disinformation and promoting digital literacy was published. The update is in the process. We had a meeting yesterday. It will be published probably in November. And these guidelines for teachers at this moment have been published in all the European languages. So we want to spread a kind of positive message that disinformation can be tackled and digital literacy can be reached, and there is possibility to use tech critically and responsibly, and students, the use of the skills can be also assessed. I warmly recommend this booklet for everybody who is interested in how to tackle disinformation. And let's wait for the update. One of these competencies I mentioned earlier was to know what is the difference between different types of disinformation. And this is only repetition that misinformation is a mistake. It's kind of wrong information which is shared without intention. Disinformation is a lie. It's wrong information which is shared, knowing intentionally that it's kind of misleading. And malinformation is kind of factually correct information which is published or shared to harm somebody or some organization. It's kind of nasty gossip. According to the Eurobarometer, the Europeans do get, how to say, they are dealing with disinformation very often. 70% of the Europeans have seen disinformation, 80% that thinks that it's a problem. And when we are looking for young generation, the screen time has been doubling or even now maybe tripling. And 53% of the 15-year-olds in Europe have been taught how to detect if the information is subjective or biased, but 47% not. This is something we should work on. And 41% think that students think that it's not taught sufficiently, and 1/3 of the students are underperforming in the different kind of exams or tests. The reason why there is this kind of urgent need for digital information literacy skills is that young generation gets the daily news mainly from social media and internet, in the Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, or other platforms. And when the elderly population is still listening to radio news or television news or reads printed media. And in the online environment, anybody can do and share whatever without any limitations, and that's a little bit dangerous. We are in the Fakta Body, we have been promoting digital information literacy, which is kind of information literacy in the digital era. And it's ability to access, manage, understand, integrate, communicate, evaluate, create, and disseminate information safely and appropriately through digital technologies. And it's kind of vital for civic engagement with the digital world, and it promotes active citizenship. In Finland, we are, like you have seen in the statistic, we are leading most of the media and information literacy rankings. But according to the Finnish research, the critical group has published a lot of research on net reading skills. About 40% of the primary, let's say, 12-year-olds are still not able to find out if something is commercial or is it factual information. And the majority of the young people did not have skills to interpret misleading diagrams. It's so easy to lie with the statistic or give impartial view. And 30% of the high school students had difficulties of assessing reliability of online text. So it is recommended that every young person needs critical literacy skills, the ability to seek information from different media and assess the reliability of text and compare the information they contain. And this kind of traditional reading skills and critical online literacy skills should be supported in parallel. And support for reading challenge should be provided as early as possible. How to tackle disinformation? I have here some ideas. And in the expert group of tackling disinformation, first big discussion we have had was that we should have a contact with the digital world, with our students and our pupils and our youngsters. There is this digital gap, and we should kind of, as adults or teachers or policymakers, we should kind of try to listen and try to understand what is the everyday reality of the young ones with their online devices, with their online experiences. Listening and understanding, it's the first thing we should have. In the classroom, if this is discussed, I mean, to have this safe discussion atmosphere would be really good. There is a big difference between online reading and offline reading. To read traditional books or read online information, it's two different things, but this traditional reading skill is strongly supporting the online reading. In the online environments, the amount of information is absolutely breathtaking. And anybody can publish anything without any effort in no time. Contents can be changed, removed, added all the time. And the results for when we are looking for information with the search engines and recommender systems are very individualized and unpredictable. A little bit recommendation algorithms are working based on our profile, and we see something the other ones don't see, and vice versa. And these online environments are not necessarily willing to give us what we want to find. They try to maximize the commercial interest and capture our attention, which is a little bit limited, monetize the data they are collecting from us, and predict and influence our future behavior. So it's not kind of very fair environment. We as information seekers are used as data providers for commercial purposes. There is quite a lot of research on what can we learn from fact checkers and which methods the fact checkers are using, and can they be kind of taught to normal citizens in order to increase our information resilience. And actually, it is possible. For example, the fact checkers have always been interested in really, how to say, emotionally strong news or kind of feeds, because the disinformation providers have noticed that when we are emotionally kind of stirred up, we are not thinking very clearly. So anytime you are getting, how to say, astonished by the information you receive, stop, look calmly, that maybe this is not completely true. So the effective methods, according to research, have been pre-punking, debunking, strategic ignorance, lateral reading, and civic online reasoning. I will explain with few words, for example, debunking and pre-punking. So when the disinformation is shared, for example, fact checkers are looking at it and they are correcting and sharing with the public the corrected information. The problem is that the online disinformation is so quick, and there is so much happening all the time, that debunking is always a little bit late. And the debunks are reaching only very little population compared to the population who have received the disinformation. The most promising method for tackling disinformation is pre-punking. The pre-punking is a process where people are warned in advance that they are about to be target of false information. So, for example, if I tell you that in the forthcoming days, if you see news that there is a peace in Ukraine and Russia has been accepted all the conditions, be careful. But it can be also something very normal, which schools and teachers can be locally telling that something is going to happen. Maybe these methods are used. Be careful. Don't believe everything, and be prepared to correct and verify the claims. This kind of pre-alarm is working quite well, but the problem is that we don't always know beforehand what kind of disinformation is coming. When we are using search engines, we get millions of hits, and the difficulty is to, among those hits, find the information which is useful and which is matching our information need. We have to ignore a huge amount of hits because they are either commercial, they are kind of sponsored, they are kind of not containing the information we are absolutely needing. And the advertisers, the lobbyists, all kind of groups are trying to propose their content, and we have to ignore it. And ignoring information is not natural for us. And it's something we have to develop skills to ignore great amount of nonsense information. It leads to the lateral reading, which has been quite well received among the students all over the world. So lateral reading means that when you get an online information, you open a new tab and you verify, first of all, the source. Is it coming from reliable source? You are checking what kind of evidence there is, maybe opening a new tab, looking for information about the writer, if you find the writer, and so on. So before spending time on reading maybe disinformation content, you check it and then ignore it. This lateral reading is a kind of effective method of saving our time and our concentration on the really news worth reading. And in the, let's say, 7 years ago, we had a long list of questions we should check on the online environment material. And now we have only these 3. When you are having something you are adopting, check who is behind it. Is it a reliable source? Is it a scientific source? Is it a quality media? Is it a journalist who is following journalistic ethical principles? What is the evidence which have been presented? And what do other sources say about it? These are the 3 main questions. And all this is putting a lot of importance for critical thinking skills. And critical thinking skills doesn't mean that we are flat out negative about everything, but it's kind of careful and balanced analytical thinking on the different contents. When we are looking at the online environment materials, there are 2 important issues. The accuracy of the content and the assessment of the source. And if the source is really expert on this particular area. So the expertise of the expert is nearly as important than the quality of the content. Now I'm moving to the artificial intelligence, and let's say that it's a quite since 2022 November, we have been dealing with the generative AI, which have kind of exploded, and our students are using it. Quite big part of our adult population is using it, and in the education systems we have to find ways how to use it in a responsible way. But artificial intelligence have been there for 40 years. It has been it's in our mobile phones, it's on computers, it's in our cars, in our kind of household appliances, everywhere. And actually, it's something we should be aware that AI is making our life easier and better in many ways, in all areas of life. The AI literacy definition is still moving. This is one of the many. It was published in the November 24. It's a comprehensive set of skills required to understand and apply and critically evaluate AI technologies. So know what? Practical skills for effective real-world applications, know-how, and deep understanding of the ethical and societal implications, know why. Enabling individuals to engage with AI technologies in a responsible, informed, ethical, and impactful manner. From the pedagogical perspective and the education point of view, there are maybe 4 areas. What is AI and how does it work? AI as a subject for learning. And then how AI can be used in a responsible and ethical way to support teaching and promote student learning. AI as a tool for teachers or learners. And then understanding of how AI is changing society, impact of the changing labor market, knowledge management, environment, communication, future professions, and so on. And then, quite importantly, why there is a need for healthy critical approach to AI outputs, the challenges of AI. The OECD and the European Commission has created an expert group. I'm also in that expert group, and we are creating AI literacy framework, which will be shared. The draft will be shared in 22nd of May, and it will be published in 26. We are trying to define how AI could be an useful instrument for teachers and school providers, what kind of skills 15-year-olds should have. And the PISA 29 will be the first PISA, which is kind of assessing or measuring the AI skills of youngsters. But before that, we have to have the framework. We have to understand what we are kind of talking about and what kind of issues there are. And I'm inviting you all to participate in this launching of AI literacy framework, which will take place on 22nd of May. And everybody can come in. And it's going to be kind of important moment to get also your views and your feedback on the proposal we will be presenting. At this moment, and this is a draft, there are several skills which are kind of key skills. Recognize AI influence. like I said, that AI is working everywhere, and it's important that we know when AI is impacting our life. And how do I know if AI is relevant or appropriate for different tasks? How we are assessing the AI use ourselves? Which tool can be used? AI tool can be, for example, generative AI tools can be used for making pictures, which can be used to provide PowerPoints, which can be used for doing kind of research. There are hundreds of different tools available, and one of the skill is to select the tool and learn to use it, and learn to use it in a way that it's giving us added value. The prompting skills. How do I frame my problem so that AI can solve it? Help me solve it. It's important. It's kind of not only prompting, but there is behind computational thinking. What is the problem? How it can be put into pieces, and how can I use which tools to solve the problem and with the AI? Co-creation with the AI, and how to create in an ethical way AI with AI. I mean, if it's creating text, music, pictures, whatsoever, and what is the kind of human role and what is the role of the AI in this co-creation? And what is really important is that how do I know that AI generated outputs are fair and true? AI tools, even the most sophisticated ones, they are based on the large language models, which have been trained by using, for example, most of the information you can find from the internet. And we all know that there are a lot of information, a lot of material which is not exactly correct. And of course, there is a reflection of the answers of the AI tools on this. Also, that we have to use prompting correctly and interpret the outputs correctly. And it's kind of important area we have to be aware of. And then this is important for education settings. How do I describe AI use for myself and others? So, for example, if a student uses AI in brainstorming in the homework, how to present it to the teacher that the AI did this part, but I have done this part, and I've used AI for that, and I've done myself this. And I think this is something we should work together with the teachers and schools and students in order to have the same language. There are tasks where AI cannot be used, but there are tasks where AI is used, and there are maybe tasks where teachers can ask students to use AI and inform how they have been using it. The recommendations for the schools, and this is coming from another recommendation kind of synthesis, teaching and learning, the AI, generative AI tools should be used in a way that they are giving an added value for teaching and learning, not because there are nice tools. One should consider the human, social, and especially the environmental impact in using AI. And there is this highlighting on the environmental impact, because we start to be more and more informed about the huge energy consumption of the AI servers. Transparency, we should be transparent how we use AI for our work and how they impact. It should be if we are using AI in the classroom, all the students should have the same possibility. It should be accessible for pupils with special needs, and it should be respectful. And it should be kind of Gen AI tools, when they are used, there should be kind of responsibilities and change that if I find out that there is a problem, to whom I can say that there is a bias or there is a problem with the, for example, privacy issues. And of course, the legal security and safety compliance in EU is quite important. The biggest problem is the data collection to train the large language models, and that we don't know how the data is collected and how it is used. In Faktabari, we have provided guides for teachers. They are available in 3 languages. We have also the digital information literacy guide, which in English, which can be downloaded. And if somebody is interested, we have also created a game, because with AI, there is a possibility to create absolutely mind-blowingly authentic looking fakes, videos, pictures, and voice fakes. And in our game, we are kind of alerting people on that. Thank you so much. This was my presentation today.
Thank you so much, Kari. A lot to process there for sure. It's really interesting to hear about the work that you've already done in Faktabari, as well as a little bit of peeks what is coming up around the corner. I'm sure with our participants, we can also share the links to the, for example, the webinar that you posted. So we'll put up the word for that. I have a few questions for you to kind of kickstart our conversation, but I wanted to mention first that I found the idea of pre-bunking really interesting, in the sense that I come from the youth sector, and what has been implemented in the youth sector a lot in these non-formal ways is kind of this idea of creating media to kind of understand also how easy it is to create false media and disinformation. So this kind of exercise, but I don't think pre-bunking has been there that much. So is this like I confess my ignorance here, but is this like a long-running thing, this method of pre-bunking, or is the new way of thinking at this point?
The pre-bunking has been around about 5-6 years, and there has been quite a lot of research on the pre-bunking, and it has proven to be the best way to tackle disinformation, according to many studies. Because when people are aware that, for example, there will be fake videos or fake photos or fake voice sounds, it will kind of create this kind of little bit more attention by the readers. I give an example. Sometimes the voice fakes, it takes about 30 seconds of recording my voice that the AI tools are able to mimic my voice perfectly. And in Finland, there was these telephone calls of the children to their parents, telling that, could you please send me money? I need money. And it was a fake. The disinformation people, or the dishonest people, had been cloning the voices of the children, and in some cases the money was sent, not big sums, but anyway. But when it was in the press and the parents were alerted that please be careful on that, it kind of lost its value. Now there is a lot of pre-bunking of different ways of making, for example, credit card scams. And it's effective way to tackle this type of criminal activities. But it's more important when we are speaking about, for example, TikTok recommendation algorithms, that how could we tell pupils that please, they are very addictive, and if you are looking for certain kind of information, you will be in the bubble. Pre-bunking of that is important. And it can be applied in a lot of different areas, and it has proven to be a good way.
You kind of touched on the topic of how people need to be knowledgeable about certain phenomena, certain topics, certain kind of certain things about these technologies that are already out there. And I think in that sense, these kind of frameworks are really valuable. And one of the long-standing ones, which you also mentioned, is of course the digital competence framework.
Mm.
I personally really like the idea of competences versus skills. But do you think it's more important to focus on the skills or on the competences, and why?
Competence is knowledge, skills, and attitudes together. And basic knowledge is needed, basic skills are needed, and they are useless if there is not attitude. I mean, I've met a lot of young people who say that, who are already so skeptical that they are not, everybody lies, nothing can be trusted. And so if there is not knowledge about these things, it's difficult to have skills. So it's kind of combination. I have been a lot dealing with people from US, and for them, they are having different concepts. They are speaking often on concept and practices, and they are not so interested in skills, attitudes. And when I've been explaining them that it's absolutely needed to have this kind of voluntary approach to do certain things, to apply it, they have been agreeing, but they are still taking this. For them, real life things are always much complex than our very clear competencies. When we see something, it's kind of mixture of a lot of things, and that's why digital education in the schools, it's very important. The young people should have the basics in the school, and you cannot. It's difficult to reach, for example, 35, 60 group, because they are not under any formal education system. And it's kind of a gap group at this moment for us.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned the cultural differences between the US and Europe, but if we stick to the European, our little European bubble, which is our context in Salto Digital, how vital do you think that the kind of European perspective is in strengthening critical digital literacy? So, can national programs do it by themselves, or is it vital, in your view, to have this European dimension to that as well? What do you think?
I'm truly European. I've been, I give it as an example. I've been training, for example, Fulbright teachers from States, and they are kind of doubtful if the schools can really teach digital skills. They have outsourced in many areas for the librarians, which are kind of neutral. In Europe, we have schools who should do it, but let's say that not all European countries have this inside of the national curriculum. And it would be really good to have digital skills and competencies in the curricula, starting from early age. And I'm believing on European model.
Yeah, yeah. I think also Also, that the European programs, Erasmus Plus and European Solidarity Corps, they are a tool that has a really high potential in developing curriculums in also in national context. So I think it's a really good tool to have. I mean, you mentioned also participation of learners within these kind of digital education settings, how vital it is. And I think that's kind of inbuilt into the programs already. So the programs are in that sense already aligned. And you also mentioned the Digital Education Action Plan, which is informing the digital transformation priority within the program. So that means that the programs are in that sense already aligned with these kind of larger frameworks as well. So there is high potential, I think, there. Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that there is still a lot of work. We have noticed that when we are revising, I'm in a 4 different expert group of DEAP at this moment, and we have noticed that the development on digital environments is very fast. And the documents we made 3 years ago are already, they need to be updated. And the same with the digital skills and ReachComp, for example. The updating is on the way. So we have to keep running to stay where we are. It's we cannot really stop. So kind of positive approach from everybody is needed, and this the kind of understanding the importance of let me put it this way. Our youngsters are nowadays sometimes more time with their social and with their devices than they are at the school. They are learning a lot of things from the TikTok, YouTube, other channels. I learn too. It's kind of micro learning platforms. But in the schools, we should somehow try to reach the digital gap between the free time of the students and the school time of the students, that they understand that it's valuable and useful what they learn to school also for the digital application use outside of the school. And I think it's a big challenge for us, especially by creating kind of balanced living standards for our youngsters, which is a little bit non-balanced at this moment.
Yeah. I do see a lot of potential also for the youth sector to kind of bridge that gap between young people's free time and school education, the formal education side. And I think it's good that all these frameworks are out there, like DigComp or future AI literacy frameworks, so that our approaches can be a bit aligned. And I think that's true for projects within the program as well, especially when we're talking about our approaches in this European kind of environment. We have a large variety of different cultural contexts that we operate in. So that means we have to have a common frame of reference so that we can speak about these things in a common way. And I think in that sense, it's very vital that we have actors kind of keeping these kind of frameworks up to date all the time. Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
We
I
need
think
a common
that,
language.
yeah, yes. I think the common language is a good note to end on since we are running out of time for this session. Thank you so much, Kari, for your input.
You're welcome.
SALTO Digital Spotlight will continue in the next months. This was the last session for this spring season, but we are continuing after summer holidays with all new topics. So thank you for your attention and see you in the next one.